Series, chapter 1147 is here. And Loki's a dragon and he looks amazing. We're gonna talk about the chapter in order, but Loki looks incredible. All the buildup, all the little glimpses that we saw of him that kind of build to this moment have been worth it. He's huge. Perspective I don't even fully understand because Luffy is in a gigantic form right now, I'm pretty sure. And he still looks tiny compared to how massive, how colossal Loki is, which makes sense because he's gonna blot out the sky. I will talk about the chapter in order. But I love this reveal. This was a very emotional chapter just as a whole. Emotional for the children and how terrible I felt for them taking all of this on themselves, wondering what they did to deserve what's happening to them just now. Terrible in the sense, or emotional in the sense of Sommers is despicable, and all the rage that you feel when you read through this chapter and you just want someone to, you know, come up from the underworld and punch him. And then emotional from all the hype of finally seeing Loki's form and then just anticipating what comes next. What is, because right now, I guess I'm not talking about this chapter in order. I will, because right now, the children have been saved. The nightmares we know that we can deal with without needing Luffy and Loki's intervention. Yeah, Emu is here, but what happens when we punch Gunko's lights out? Nothing? It's not gonna hurt Emu. Now granted, we could hurt Emu by continuing to kill his Horcruxes. You know, like the people. He gets hurt when someone destroys the ones that he gives some of his immortality to. At least that's the way I understand the situation at this moment. So we could hurt Emu that way. But you know what I mean? Like, regardless, Emu is going to retreat and he's going to stay and marry Joa. We can't handle him here and now. We can dispel him, but we can't actually defeat him. So what are we going to do with Luffy and Loki once they come up from the underworld? Anyway, let's talk about the chapter. I'm so sorry. I'm just very excited. So, the children are still descending upon their inevitable fate, which is the ship is now gone, the clouds are now gone, so they're gonna fall to the underworld, probably not be able to be recovered, either because they break their bones and die, or because they are lost and none of the adults can find them. At first, Sommers is panicking. Oh no, I lost the ship, I lost the clouds, this isn't good. And then he's like, deflect, deflect, deflect. Actually, if you think about it, you know, if you squint with one eye and don't look out of the other, kind of this is all Emu's fault. Now, the audacity to have this like ultimate ruler of evil and chaos who can so easily withdraw your immortality and crumble you to dust if he wants to, and seems to be willing to do so with very little thought, who is currently manipulating the entire world order and will destroy an entire island because it's close, right? So, like, so many things that we know about Emu, and we don't even know the half of it, and the audacity for Sommers to, it is his fault. I want to make this clear. It is his fault. He's the one who didn't want to take a hit that he absolutely could sustain. And instead he's like, don't hit me, don't touch me. And then he just like, bats it away without any sort of thought or care or control or command over what he's done. And he wiped out the ship and he wiped out the clouds, and that's all on him. If he hadn't done that, then the children would get on the ship and the plan would go on, and it wouldn't matter that Emu is currently possessing Gunko. It's on Sommers. So the fact that Sommers messed up and then he's like, if you think about it though, it's actually the devil's fault that I'm currently serving. So let me see if I can blame him. And then, rather than going into an absolute panic, because it doesn't matter if you want to blame Emu or not, Emu can still turn on you and destroy you for failing him because you did. Instead, he's like, wait a second. I'm about to witness all these children suffer and die, and their parents suffer and die because of the children. This is my favorite day. And goes into manic hysterics. I gotta say, Sommers is the most despicable villain we've seen in a minute in One Piece. I mean, like, truly irredeemable, despicable, disgusting, just revels. I likened him to Hisoka when I was doing my chapter reading from Hunter x Hunter. He just reminds me of like really getting a thrill, you know, a specific kind of thrill out of the suffering of others. And he's definitely a villain that I look forward to watching fall. That said, all throughout the chaos of all of this, we're also watching the giants try so hard to fight fate, as it were. You know, the arrows of fate that cannot, once their fate has been determined, it cannot be changed except by Gunko herself. And here they are attempting to fight this fate, attempting to hack at it, to bite at it, to pull at it, whatever they can do, and nothing works. Attempting to grab a hold of the children, even though they have these thorns on them. And Oimyo, a giant that we have seen in action, a giant that we know how powerful he is he can't do it. He pulls back. That settles it. As long as this arrow doesn't disappear, there's no way to stop the children for sure. So we can't save them anymore. That's another giant talking. But that's him. He's like, that settles it. I can't do it. So we establish how incredibly powerful these thorns are, and how all of these adults, all of these parents, grandparents, brothers, all of these people who are here for these children would rather die than to watch their children fall off this cliff. All they have is to stand here and watch and be completely these warriors. It's a bunch of warriors. It's not a bunch of the younger generation. It's a bunch of the warrior generation who know how to fight and who are willing to fight. They're not going to give up. They're not going to assume that this is some kind of divine retribution. They know to go forward and fight. Yet all they can do is stand by and watch the children fall. How helpless, how horrible for any parent. But for a warrior generation, you know, you can imagine that much more. And Oda really knows how to appeal to the parents. He really knows how to hurt us the most. The way you then cut to the children who have had their basic acts of disobedience. You know, you shouldn't have taken this kid's toy even if you won it in a duel. Is that toy the Iron Giant from Elbaf? I didn't notice that in my first read through. Well, why? I guess there's so much Nika lore in Elbaf. And Emmett, was that his name, was tied to Joy Boy. Interesting. Okay, I have to think on that a little bit more. Anyway, no, you shouldn't duel someone and then take their toy. No, you shouldn't lie. No, you shouldn't be disobedient or disrespectful to your parents. All things that these children should have been corrected on. You know, the parents were doing their job by correcting their children from this behavior. But now the children, as they're walking to this like destined fate of dissension, of death, as they're walking toward it, they're thinking, I did something to deserve this. We're all going to die because we were naughty. And they're all recalling the times when they were naughty. And now they're taking it on themselves and they've decided it's my actions, it's my retributions that are bringing me to death. And these children are going to, against their will, walk off this cliff edge to their death thinking I deserved this because of my actions, and thinking, it seems, you know, because so much of it is tied to their parents or to their caretakers, thinking that their parents thought that they deserved it as well. And Oda, so too in the last arc, Oda loves to bring that back to a sacrifice, especially with children. You know, we saw it with Kuma, where he was the sacrifice for Bonnie. He got in front of her when she was going to be killed, and he took that on. So too, we have the parents wrapping their children up in their arms. We've already established how strong the spikes are, and we've already established that there's nothing the giants can do. So what did the giants do? They take it on for themselves. They wrap their children in their arms, let the spikes run through their bodies, and say, I won't let you die alone. Now, there's some kind of trauma that's going to be attached to watching your parent wrap you up in their arms, and because of their love, they've now near died. Because of the spikes that were attached to you. That's going to cause some trauma in them too. But also, these children are falling over the cliff edge knowing that regardless of what they've done, they are loved. Regardless of their retributions, of their actions, their parents, their loved ones would rather die than to watch them fall alone. This panel that Chirag, my thumbnail artist, drew, that was on the thumbnail of this panel of Ripley hugging Colin, being the first one to step in and say, I wasn't able to stop you, but I'm not going to let you die alone like this. And then accepting her fate, smiling, falling off the cliff edge, holding him, got me so emotional. But you know what else got me really emotional was Anji. because Oda showed parents, he showed grandparents, he showed a lot of moms. You know, Oda may like to kill his moms, but he also really respects the role of a mother and the impact that she has. And that has been true all throughout this arc. That's been a big theme all throughout this arc. The role of a mother, how detrimental it could be if it's by someone who doesn't deserve to have ever had that role, or how life-giving it could be, regardless of if she's your biological mother or not. You know, we saw Loki being hurled off a cliff's edge because his mother didn't want him. And we saw him be rejected because of his mother's leading. And we saw him take that on for himself and believe, you know what, yeah, I could never be loved. Not even my own father could possibly love me. And we also saw how healing it was when someone stepped into his life and took on the role of mother, even though he couldn't outwardly accept that Eva was his mother until the very end, until, you know, he burned down a whole village. But we saw that how much healing that actually gave him, that for once he was able to accept love and feel like a son to someone. So the role of mother has been emphasized all throughout this arc. And here we have children once again being thrown off a cliff's edge, but this time being held by their parents or their parental figures, being held by the ones that should be loving them more than anyone else in the world. And they are. They're making that sacrifice one by one, each one stepping forward and grabbing a hold of the children. Ranja, to the bitter end, saying, "Don't worry, it's all gonna turn out great." And then her dad grabs a hold of her, and then that like false joy that she's trying to work up turns into tears, because this is what she really needs, is for her father to grab a hold of her and tell her, "I heard your words, you were so brave." Even the kid who, you know, was disrespectful and who made the nightmare that looked like his mother. You know, she saw that. But still, here she is. She's like, "I don't care." He said, "I'm sorry that I said you were scary." And she said, "That's fine, darling. Sometimes mama needs to be scary to keep you safe." I still haven't even gotten to Anji. That's the one I said made me the most emotional. Actually, I think it was Ripley that made me the most emotional, but I've already talked that one through a lot. Anyway, we also had the little girl who didn't have any parents, who didn't have anyone. She wasn't looking for someone to come save her. They're all so lucky. They have parents to hug them. And then here comes Anji running in. We have a flashback of her where she was reaching out to this little girl previous, you know, like it seems like for a period of time she was like, I could be a mother to you. Like I could step in to your life. And she was rejected. And then here she is. It doesn't matter that she was rejected. Here she is rushing in to hold that child so that she doesn't fall alone. And Roto did it too. I love that Oda put just as much emphasis on the parents that chose to be there, on the stand-in parents. The ones that are there for these children are the ones that are highlighted, and they're all highlighted with the same significance. The parents, the grandparents, the siblings, the stand-ins, the ones that just chose to be there even though they didn't have to be. Each of these were given the same amount of impact in the story. And I think that's important, because I think there are many readers probably that maybe didn't have the traditional person in their life like they should have, but somebody stepped in for them, and how significant that was in their lives. I had good parents, but my parents showed up for a lot of my friends, and I know how much that meant to them. Anyway, all the children, all their parents, falling off the cliff edge, and the whole time Summers is cackling. Stupid mothers, stupid fathers, martyrs for love. Oh, I've got a stitch in my side. Such poignantly pointless deaths. You have no idea what you're talking about, Summers. Because this is One Piece, they did not die. Because this is One Piece, Luffy happened to be at the right place in the right time to watch them fall and to blow himself up so they bounced on his tummy. And everyone survived, to include the parents. Now, the parents are badly injured. It's not looking good. But because of this sacrifice, the children are alive. Well, because of Luffy, the children are alive. But they're not stuck in the underworld alone. And they didn't descend into the underworld thinking that because they were naughty, they deserved this. And now they're stranded and alone. And their parents, you know, maybe don't want them because of what they had done to them. No, instead they're here with their parents, knowing full well exactly where they stand with them. Oh man, the buildup. I gotta tell you, at first I was so focused on Luffy as I'm reading through this, and I'm like, oh, Luffy was the one that stopped it. They're on his belly. Is it his belly? Yeah. Gum Gum Tummy Cracker. This is so massive. He's so big at this point in the story. Look at how massive. It's just the scale of Loki right now. Anyway, I was so focused on Luffy and on the children being saved, on the emotion of everything that was happening, and all the thematic things that Oda was continuing to build on in the whole of the arc of Elbaf, that I'm like reading past these lines with Loki, where he's like, listen up. Once we're up there, it's not I need you to get off my back at once. It'll prevent me from fighting. It's not a good thing. I'm a destroyer. I won't guarantee that anyone survives. We're just getting pictures of Loki, and that's when it hit me that I was like, we're about to see his form. We're about to see his form! Now, let's look at the form. He looks so good! This giant, dark dragon with the flaming eyes and the little horn with the bandage, well, it's a big horn with a bandage around it. You've got Luffy, who I'm pretty sure is in giant form right now, laughing. Above him, we have Ragnarok. What's his name? The squirrel. There with him as well, the thunder creator. All the nightmares around him just falling into chaos, the thunder and the lightning coming from the sky. You know, we have all the light background with this giant, imposing dragon. I thought I turned my sound off. It looks incredible. What a great reveal. I know people have dragon fatigue. I don't care. I don't get tired of the dragons. And this one looks so good. It looks like a destroyer. Now, before we actually got to the big reveal, you're all said, on an exceedingly rare day, when lightning and snow combine, a vast beast will blanket the sky with its presence, and with the sound of the drums of liberation, the sun god will appear. So it appears as if Ural is speaking prophecy. Now, we already have the Harley text, we already have the thing that Robin read that goes along with it. We already know some of the lore that exists on Elbaf. Everybody wants to be like the sun god, but different people have different interpretations of what the sun god is like. It is very likely that there is more lore that we haven't been introduced to yet. It is very likely that they know more prophecies than what we currently know, because Elbaf is a nation that is, one, super duper old, and so a lot of them probably have a lot more memories or a lot more stories that have been orally passed down of Joy Boy, of Nika the Sun God, who knows, of the Void Century even. I don't know. There's probably a lot that we haven't been told yet that Elbaf could potentially know. It is very likely that they have further lore, that they have further prophecies that haven't been told yet, and it seems as if this must be one of them. And what he's saying here is, as a vast beast will blanket the sky with its presence, certainly Loki is big enough to do that, and certainly he's about to do so. And with the sound of the drums of liberation, the sun god will appear. What that sounds like is that Elbaf knows that this treasured, their treasure, the devil fruit that they have had stored away, that they've had under guard in the palace, that they have said that this is the treasure of Elbaf, they know that it is attached to the one that they worship. They know that this devil fruit of the great destroyer, of the dragon that will blanket the sky, comes with the drums of liberation, that it comes with the sun god, that when this devil fruit is eaten and utilized, the sun god will appear. So it seems as if Elbaf is aware, or at least the eldest generation of Elbaf is aware, that when this devil fruit is active, it is expected to be tied with sun god Nika. And as my patrons pointed out to me, the mural it appears as if it's very possible that Loki is that dragon. And obviously we also have Loki, the human, the giant, it looks like, in the mural as well, with Luffy up above him right there. But it, you know, some people theorize that the mural is broken up into 3 parts, 3 timelines. There's so much there, but it does seem like the mural is coming together. This is the moment that Elbaf has been waiting for, it seems. The one that they, like, the sun god Nika, you know, that they all look toward and they all want to be like, and they all have these prophecies around. They know that when their treasure that they've been guarding is activated, then so too will the sun god appear. And here it is. This is time. So something about, it seems as if Loki's devil fruit and Luffy's devil fruit are intrinsically tied together. And in history, in the sequence of history, these two have come together before. Which, I mean, we're all theorizing at this point, right? That Ragnarok is coming, that the great war is descending upon us, and this is kind of what One Piece will end on. I don't think we're there. I think we still have more Elbaf to go before we start the final war, and I imagine that the final war will begin on Elbaf. Will it end here, or will we like take it off campus, because we have a lot more characters that need to come in for the final war to happen. So many thoughts. I'm sorry. Calm down. Get your thoughts together. Speak clearly. It just feels so colossal, you know, pairing this big reveal of Loki, pairing it with this added prophecy that we hadn't heard yet before, and knowing that it's very likely that the fate of Loki and Luffy are tied together, that Loki is the destroyer and Luffy is the liberator, you know? So does Loki have to destroy the Red Line so that Luffy can liberate the world of Emu and all that comes with that? I don't know. I have no idea what Oda is cooking, but I'm very, very excited. This was a great chapter, full of tons of emotions of rage towards Sommers, emotions of just the pain and devastation that Oda brings, especially when he deals with kids and their parents in his story, and the emotions of hype on what exactly does all this imply? I don't know, but I'm very excited for it. Those are my thoughts for One Piece chapter 1174. I would love to hear your thoughts too. Please chat with me more in the comments. What do you think all this is? What do you think we're doing? Like, what do you think this is building to? It seems at the moment that with all the powerhouses that we have, I guess I don't feel the threat as heavily as I did just a few chapters ago. Obviously, Dory and Brogy are still turned, and several other giants are turned, and the threat of turning more is still present, and we have to deal with all that. Sommers and Killingham are still here, and a total threat, and Sommers is an absolute psychopath. So he's gonna keep going until he's taken down. Gunko, I imagine once Emu withdraws, I think that she will recall her memories and then potentially not really be a threat to us anymore. We'll see. And Emu, though he's not here, you know, presently, he still is, as he possesses Gunko, a great threat. So certainly there's more work to be done, but with the reveal of Loki, and with Luffy, and with all the Straw Hats, and with Skapar Gaban, and with all the giant pirates, and all the warriors, you know, it does feel like something has to escalate at this point, because our side feels so strong. Which is maybe that's hubris, because Emu certainly has proven himself. So maybe I shouldn't feel that way, but I do. So I'm curious what comes next. What, like, how are things going to escalate, and how? We definitely still have a lot of pieces going on that need to be resolved, and I hope that we're not in the point of, you know, one big punch and then resolve. I hope that things will keep escalating. I don't know, I'm curious to see what goes on. I was trying to wrap up this video like minutes ago. Please let me know what you think of the chapter. I would love to hear your thoughts. I think it's quite clear that I loved it. I've been very excited. Great chapter, but I would love to hear your thoughts as well. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what things you saw that I didn't see, what you want to discuss. Please chat with me more in the comments. I'll see you again soon. Bye.